A beautiful morning for many of you, afternoon for others, and well into the evening for me here in India. I am grateful to be beginning a beautiful stotram, a beautiful hymn from the Nondual Advaita tradition, which is a beautiful blend of jnanam or wisdom, knowledge, and bhakti, devotion. It is a unique, one of a kind journey where knowledge informs our bhakti and bhakti potentializes the knowledge, makes it experiential and visceral for us. So before we dive in, let me chant to the Guru Tattva, the Guru principle, the universal Guru presence. Because of that presence, something ignited in the author of this hymn, Adi Shankaracharya in 8th century. And for countless millennia thereafter, those who have listened to this verse, chanted it, and those who've been even fortunate to be led into its depths have encountered the Guru principle again. That Guru is none other but Supreme Reality, Ishwara, also known as Brahman. Let me chant to that. Om Akhandamandalakaram Vyaptam Yena Characharam Tatpadam Darshitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Om Ajnanatimirānadasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unamilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Om Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwara Guru Sakshat Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Salutations to that Guru who shows us the state of supreme non-dual consciousness that pervades this entire universe and is also present in every particle of the immovable and the movable, the inanimate and the animate, the non-sentient and the sentient universe, and binding us together in an unbroken whole. Salutations to the revered Guru again, who it seems has opened our eyes after countless janmas, births of being blinded by materialism and illusions and delusions, to finally wake up in pitch darkness and recognize that we had fallen asleep, and that metaphorical spiritual blindness is alleviated by the colorium, the coal of jnana, of wisdom, which is saturated with bhakti. And finally, this Guru is none other but Vishnu, the sustainer, Shiva, the destroyer, and Brahma, the generator of what is new within us. To that Guru we bow. I now chant a verse very, very special and very much connected to Baba Ayodhyanath, from whose beloved lips I first heard this Bhaja Govindam. He used to hold satsang audiences, and this was a stotram that was often chanted like a bhajan and a kirtan. And of course, then I had also the good fortune of receiving its deep inner meaning, not once but twice. And since then, I think, because this This stotram is so powerful. Its 31 verses are literally the wake-up calls. Probably, though I went through my own life's ups and downs and alleys of blindness and confusion, but one is never really lost if one has this stotram, this hymn as part of their intellectual repertoire. And at some point, it becomes your living reality, as I can proudly claim that this is my internal framework, what I'm teaching today. And I didn't teach it a day sooner. I have known this verse from maybe age 6 or 7 onwards, and I'm teaching it in my 57th year for the first time. It sometimes takes that much time to really understand the purport of this verse. But once we do, everything else is magnificent after that, and for every other lifetime that shall follow. So to that great teacher, that same guru principle that spake from my beloved Baba's mouth, I chant to him with great respect and honor. Om Brahmanandam Paramasukhadam Kevalam Jnanamurtim Dvandvatitam Gagana Sadrisham Tattvamasyadi Lakshayam Ekam Nityam Vimala-machalam Sarvadhi Sakshi Bhutam Bhavatitam Triguna-rahitam Satgurum Tam Namami. Through this chant, we say that I bow to the Guru, not just to the body, not just to someone we know by name or familiarity, but to that universal Guru Tattva, that universal Guru, that divine teacher, that Ishwara, who dwells in that body and embodies Brahmanandam, the bliss of Brahman, the ultimate consciousness, who is the giver of Ananda, supreme happiness, who is the embodiment of Jnanam, the knowledge that sets us free, the one who is beyond dualities, who is akin to whose awareness is akin to the vast infinite sky, and who is pointed out as the goal. That expansiveness is an inspiration for the rest of us. I revere through this teaching of the Bhaja Govindam, the Guru, the eternal, the pure, the unmoving, the witness of all minds, that ultimate Guru that transcends all states and is free from the three qualities, sattva, rajas, tamas, and dwells within us as our own higher self. We begin Bhaja Govindam. This invocation to the Guru rightly sets the stage for our exploration of Bhaja Govindam, a composition of 31 verses by Adi Shankaracharya. Sometimes 3 more verses are added to this, but not in all editions, and we will stick to the original 31. Each of this verse emphasizes the profound respect and gratitude that we hold for our gurus who guide us towards the ultimate liberation, including the Guru of Gurus, Adi Shankaracharya, who leads us through his insights and words in meter towards liberation from the quagmire of samsara. For those of you who are new, samsara means that which is continuous whirlpool. And it is referring to a continuous existence that we souls are almost mandated to experience until we awaken to the truth of our cosmic existence. Again and again we are born, again and again we die. Again and again we find another womb to sleep in a cramped position and come back to lead the same old life with its mixtures of joy, sorrows, surprises, transience, impermanence, decay, death, disease, to die again, to yet be born again to the same thing. The only way out of samsara is knowledge, jnana, and devotion, bhakti. And Bhaja Govindam is that beautiful, poetic, one in a lifetime composition by this great sage, Adi Shankaracharya. It conveys the basic principles of Vedanta. In short, Vedanta means Veda Anta. Anta means the end. It comes at the end portion of the Veda. While the beginning portion of the Veda teaches us how to be successful, Artha, how to be pleasured in life, Kama, and how to be righteous and noble, Dharma. But it is the end portion, the pristine philosophy of the Vedas is contained in Anta part of the Veda, which is also known as the Upanishads, which contains the philosophy and the teachings of that divine reality known as Brahman, known as Ishwara, known as Paramatma, which also dwells within us as Atma. There is no difference between the Atma and the Paramatma, the Jiva and the Ishvara, the individual consciousness and the supreme consciousness. And recognition of that alone leads us from suffering to joy, from darkness to light, and from repeated deaths to the immortal discovery, to the discovery of our immortal nature. So, Mohammed Bhaja Govindam is also known as Moha Mudgara. And we will go into great details in upcoming sessions on what is Moha and why is this hymn originally called Moha Mudgara? Mudgara literally means a hammer. And Moha means the delusion, the sleepwalking stance due to a collective amnesia, collective ignorance called avidya or maya, well explained in the Upanishads and the yoga scriptures like the Yoga Sutras, the Bhagavad Gita. We are all asleep at the wheel of life. We're stuck in samsara. We are fighting petty battles. We are winning ephemeral awards. But in the whole process, we are in a cage of suffering, transience, impermanence, and repeated birth and repeated deaths. Why don't we wake up? And sometimes we encounter our teacher, but we still fall asleep. Instead of going for the goal of liberation, we settle for breadcrumbs of material recognition, material fulfillment. What happens? And that's why Mudgara, Moha is the delusion, then Mudgara is the hammer. And through 31 hammer strokes, the delusion is disposed away. Some of you may enjoy this process, some of you will become uncomfortable, and the others will run away. It's not easy for this delusion, this tight cast of false assumptions to fall away, but with such beauty and such grace, Shankaracharya, sometimes called Shankara, composed his beautiful poetry. And even a casual listening and a casual understanding wakes us up from our sleepwalking stance. It is a bhajan, something to be chanted and sung with devotion, which is the popular way. However, it is also a stotram. And a stotram is typically a hymn composed in meter to praise or to utilize a deity or a spiritual principle. And the central deity here in Bhaja Govindam is Ishwara itself in the form of, with the name of Govinda. Govinda is another name of Krishna, but we will explore through our Bhaja Govinda immersion that Govinda is Krishna and the highest understanding possible of what Krishna means, really. Stotram comes from the root sound stu. Stu is a verb sound, and stu means to praise. And that is why the stotram praises Ishwara as something to be remembered again and again, because the word bhaja literally means to evoke, to invoke, to seek, to engage. And even in the Yoga Sutras, Patanjali from 2nd century BC, the great master yoga scholar who gave us the path of Raja Yoga, also known as the Ashtanga Yoga, has said that yoga is not possible without Ishwar Pranidhanat, without surrender to Ishwara. So if any yoga aspirant, the true aspirant beyond the asana, into the deep journey of union with divine consciousness of self, is seeking connection with Ishvara, but their worldly material identities get in the way, then these hammers that dispel moha or delusion will become really useful, and Bhaja Govinda will bring us into deep, loving, joyful proximity of Ishvara, heralded as Govinda in the stotra. Fear not, the Vedic literature and the Vedic lexicon of Nigantus or dictionaries have probably 1,000,000 words for Ishvara, but they all represent the one reality. Govinda is not a separate God figure. And we'll come more into that, because the basic premise of the Veda is Ekam Sat, one truth. Vipraha, the scholars or the culturalized people, Bhauda Vadanti, speak it in different ways, but it doesn't change the truth. Just as the sun can shine in a lake and look massive, the sun can shine in a tiny teaspoonful of water and look tiny. It is still the same sun. Ishvara is that cosmic reality, whether known as Govinda or Jesus. It's all. So we are going to look at the Bhaja Govinda or the Moha Mudgara Stotram, just like the other famous renowned stotrams from our tradition, like the Vishnu Sahasranama Stotram, utilizing the 1,000 beautiful facets of Vishnu, or the Shiva Tandava Stotram, where Shiva is dancing his dance of dissolution with the sounds of drums and universes rising and collapsing, literally a chapter in quantum physics. With Bhaja Govindam Stotram, we slowly wake up from the delusions that we may have been carrying over many, many lifetimes. Not just many, but maybe several thousand, endless. So this stotram serves as a reminder to focus on the divine potential within you more than the same old materialistic pursuits. Its content emphasizes the transient nature of your worldly quests, acquisitions, and pleasures, and the importance of devotion, cult towards Ishvara, or cultivated towards Ishvara. By the way, sometimes I make up words in English, so just I'm trusting you to figure what I'm saying. So I'm going to create my own language because I'm flowing so much. So if I was speaking in Hungarian, I just speak Hungarian and my own version of it because I'm flowing and I know you'll get me. So the importance of bhakti and jnana in this cultivation of a deep relationship with Ishwara beyond religion into your own metaphysical, psychological, emotional, full body being, visceral reality. It is also a bhajan. A bhajan is typically a devotional song, and we will share with the participants a version of how it is sung in the temples of India. And most people who are singing away are enjoying some vibration. They may not understand every word of it, but even a few key phrases that fall upon the people who understand the language, I'm pretty sure they'll come back home more enlightened, more at peace, and more clear about their priorities of what I want to hold on to and what I can let go and where I can settle into. So it's truly a experiential bhajan, if I have to say anything. It really, one hearing, one understanding will help you examine your own conclusions, assumptions, limitations, and of your material identity and help you, propel you towards cultivating the right mental attitude towards a spiritual yogic life, which is essential for the goal of yoga, which is mukti or moksha. And in general, having this knowledge as part of our repertoire of our emotional intelligence just reduces our suffering because we are no longer resting all our hopes in the quicksands of relationships or or people or circumstances to be lined up in a certain way. We are truly now resting on the ultimate anchor, which is Ishwara. This is Ishwara Pranidhanat, complete, how to be in that zone. And I have to say that just like in a desert landscape, the sand dunes are always changing. And so we can say, wow, this is a really shifty, unstable landscape. Today the land dunes were here and now they're there. That's what samsara life is like. Nothing is predictable. But still, under the shifting sand dunes, there are rocks. There is a terrain that is still. The waves are always tumultuous, but the ocean bed is still steady, holding all this tumult. In the same way, when we connect with the Ishvara dimension, the Govinda, and through that Ishvara dimension, we connect with the universal self, Paramatma, and the individual self, Atma. We've touched those, we've managed to engage or touch that unchanging terrain. And this gets us into a very beautiful place of recognition of how lost we were, clutching to particles of sand with such intensity that we had stress. And then that sand would anyway escape our palms, and we'd be left with nothing but sandy palms and gritty eyes and a parched mouth. That's why another name, lesser known name of Bhaja Govindam or the Mohamudgar Stotram is Charapatu Panjarika. And I don't expect you to remember all these names, but it's very interesting. Charapat represents a ragged cloth, like a cloth that's almost thready and dirty and soiled and there and barely there. And Panjarika refers to a cage. And so the samsara is a cage where we are, where we great souls are dwelling inside these threadbare, ragged bodies that are dying every second we are alive and getting older and decaying and aging. And we are losing our vitality and our capacity. And what is the knowledge worth knowing when you are imprisoned in this cage, in this fragile body that is awaiting death, that will meet its death, whether it awaits it or runs from it? It cannot avoid it. What is that knowledge? That knowledge is Bhaja Govindam. Oh, when we are in this cage and when we are wearing these ragged body suits, we are given knowledge like how to work the room, how to be successful, how to be a millionaire overnight, how to do the right makeup to cover up your age, how to have breast augmentation or, I don't know, cheek augmentation or um, something, how to color your hair. We get all that knowledge. And so we clutch on to our thready, baggy skin bags and we try our best and we cover it with fashionable clothes and jewelry, but to no avail. Besides, if we are born again, we'll just have a flash of a youth, like a flash in a pan, and then it's back again to the terrors of the lonely nights awaiting decay, disease, death, depression. There's the purpose of Charpat Panjarika or Moha Mudgara Stotram or Bhaja Govindam hymn to depress you. Those who are really, really attached to, let's enjoy life, let's chill, let's be cool. To them, maybe this will feel uncomfortable. Maybe they need to do what they're doing and then come back to it. But those who've had a few blows in life, those who are noticing repetitive patterns that happiness is really ephemeral and mostly it's suffering. Either there is suffering upfront or there is suffering piggyback riding on happiness, and sooner or later we come across suffering. That is why the Buddha said that this world, this life is dukkhamaya, it is full of suffering. He just said one word for life, suffering. So there's something about the Eastern tradition. It really doesn't mince words, does it? And it really looks at the in the eye of what's our predicament and then points us ways and means to wake up. That is where the yogic pathways become so important, which I teach in the Vedic way, of which many of you are already participants. This Vedic way, it's the Vedic way. Yoga is very much the fruit of the Vedic tree. And these pathways of bhakti yoga, karma yoga, jnana yoga, raj yoga, these are really just the classical pathways that show us the way out of samsara. And from that perspective, this stotram that you are going to explore with me over the next, I cannot really determine how many sessions at this point, but probably 20 to 30 sessions, would lie somewhere between bhakti yoga and jnana yoga and help us wake up through knowledge and then turn towards Ishwara, which is bhakti, and it will strengthen our devotion. Let's just take a moment to be grateful that we are here. It is believed that Govinda, Ishwara, Krishna is orchestrating even this knowledge to us. And it's important for you now to understand that so that the world can benefit thousands of years later. There was a event in Shankaracharya's life in 8th century that really brought out the Bhaja Govindam from deep within his subconscious to the forefront. What is that event? And before I go into the event, then why should you care? Who is Shankaracharya? Some of you who are ongoing students of mine through Vedika Global, where I used to hold satsangs, through this Vedic studies platform, through which I have held some textual study prior to this one. Those of you who are in Vedic way, and through other ways that many of you may have come across Adi Shankaracharya. He's an unmissable character if you are at all connected with the Vedic yogic scene of India, with the Upanishads, with the Bhagavad Gita. And he is considered, of course, as an avatar of Shiva. Now, Shiva, Vishnu, and Brahma are not people, godly people. They are not anthropomorphic gods. They are principles of the same Ishwara. Brahma is the generative principle, like a cell is born. Vishnu is the sustenance principle. The cell has intelligence to be sustained. And then there is a dissolution principle. The cell dies so that healthy new cells can be born again. Similarly, a thought arises, Brahma principle. A thought sustains and informs us, Vishnu principle. And the thought must end to bring in and herald new thinking. That is the Shiva principle. That is why it is said for Ishwara, Srishti Sthiti Laya Samartha iti Ishwara. Srishti means creation, Sthiti means sustenance, and Laya means dissolution. And one who manages that at a microscopic level, right down to the nanoparticles, right down to the cellular, the tiniest quarks and particles that are making you up, to the multiple universes and multiple galaxies, parallel universes that are existing. There is creation, sustenance, and dissolution going on. And the principle that manages all of that, the supreme intelligence, the supreme mind, is Ishwara. So Ishwara's Shiva principle, sometimes the Vishnu principle, and rarely the Brahma principle, because it is a principle, not a person. It has manifested every particle of dust and blade of grass and multiple galaxies and black holes and things we've not even imagined or seen, and your whole being and your life. Why can't it take on a body sometimes? And so there are the concept avatars. Now be careful. Nowadays, every other person wants to be called an avatar. The Vedic tradition is very clear on what is an avatar, who is an avatar. So, for example, Patanjali, the teacher of Yoga Sutras, is considered an avatar of Sheshanaga. The king of Sheshanaga represents time. Sheshanaga represents cosmic time, and it's connected to the Vishnu principle. And it took an avatar to teach us the Yoga Sutras. That's it. That was the sole purpose. And you know what the Yoga Sutras have done? They are the one flame that is still alive when everything else is in darkness. And the worldwide people start closing their eyes and they feel some peace from the madness of samsara. That is Yoga Sutra for you. Similarly, Krishna taught the Bhagavad Gita. And I've looked, because in the writing of my former book, Sovereign Self, I looked at the biographies of many Nobel laureates, many top scientists, many top literary beings. What was common to them all? The Bhagavad Gita. And it seems like Vishnu had to take the avatar of Krishna and give us those teachings. Similarly, Shankaracharya is considered an avatar of Shiva because his teachings help dissolve away the samsara that is suffocating us and tightening us up and pulling us and yanking us and making us forget who we are and becoming compromised shadows and just dying bitter or angry or unfulfilled. Still, our shopping list is not complete and our desires are incomplete. And we end up just dying in that toxic situation only to be born again. The baby looks cute enough, but soon enough, when their mind starts developing, those same wants come back. The same ego comes back. Me, 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 me. That's the prison. There are no outer chains. Chains are inner. And that is why Shankara is considered an avatar of Shiva. And yet he's evoking Vishnu or Govinda in his Bhaja Govindam. It is a false colonial misrepresentation of the Vedic Hindu tradition that the Shivites only worship Shiva, the Vaishnavites only worship Vaishnava, only the Shaktas worship Shakti. This is all just false dogmatic colonial interpretation and witch hunting of a very deep tradition which believes in oneness. There is only one Ishwara, and that is why the Ramayana, which is a story of Rama, who is Vishnu, is actually orated by Shiva to Shakti. These are all interrelated facets of that one divine. And so this one divine, specifically in the Shiva principle form, took birth as Shankaracharya to humble parents in Kerala, India. And when he was on, and they were not conceiving, so they went to a special temple and did some deep rituals, deep chanting, more like outer rituals, inner rituals. Shiva was pleased, granted them a child. And it seems like the mother had a choice. Do you want a long-lived dull child or do you want a short-lived bright child? And she had the wisdom to choose an intelligent child. So she chose intelligence over body. So the mother was clearly a great being. And when Shankara was only 4 years old, he became an Acharya later. At that time, he was Shankara. So when he was 4 years old, his father died. But, in India, traditionally, especially at that time, every child went to a Gurukulam. And they would not necessarily be Gurukulams where you are learning Vedanta, but you would at least learn the beginning. The beginning sections of the Vedas, known as the Samhita, it's not dull teaching, it's the brilliant teaching. And so most children go at age 9, but he went maybe at the age of 1 because he was so intelligent. And, 1.5. And then by the age of 2, he was fluently speaking and writing Sanskrit. By the age of 4, he could recite all the Vedas. So, what were we doing at age 4, right? This is God's mind. This is Ishwara. This is Shiva incarnate. By 6, the records indicate that he had finished the study of all the scriptures that pertain to the first phase of learning. And it was enough to inspire him to seek sannyasa. And sannyasa, I don't speak often of it, but when sannyasa doesn't come from escapism, like I'm renouncing the world, but when it comes from the recognition that everything in this world, even the gems and the diamonds, are nothing but dirt, it is all samsara, one has a natural sannyasa. So at age 6, he asked his mother, may I have sannyasa? And sannyasa then means leaving your home, living as per nature. Nature will feed you, nature will take care of you, or you will go for bhiksha, ask for alms. And whoever feeds you, they are meant to feed you from karmic reasons. The karma is the universe's arithmetic. And the mother would not give her 6-year-old permission because she was already a widow and she had this one child. So then he had not got permission as yet, but then interestingly, he went for a bath in the river near his home. His village was in Kalari, and he went for a bath, and a crocodile caught his leg, and his mother was at the bank, and they were all screaming and shouting. And then Shankara was very quiet, and he said, "Oh, mother, perhaps my life will end anyway. It will anyway end. I wish, at least grant my wish so that you are not in debt of me. Grant me this wish that if I were to escape, or if I do get a few more moments of life, I can have sannyasa." And so his mother granted him sannyasa. Yes, yes, you are granted sannyasa, because she understood her child's deep desire for sannyasa. And she wondered, like, he might die now. So I don't want to have that debt, that transactional burden of not granting him his deepest spiritual wish. And the moment she said, "I grant you sannyasa," both mother and child were surprised. The crocodile just left his leg, as if the universe had orchestrated that Shankara be out of the house and on his path, so that one day we could be benefiting from his insights. So that's one story. And so he walked fearlessly, this young boy, um, and he somehow intuitively knew in which direction to travel to find his guru. And so it's an interesting tradition in the Vedic tradition that even avatars have a guru. The value of the guru is that an avatar may be born as a child and be super brilliant and have amazing miraculous powers, but yet they need that guru to show them that Vedantic knowledge. And, we ordinary people may take a few years to get it, and Shankara may take 30 minutes to get it, but guru is considered, the guru who imparts Vedanta is considered established by Ishwara in the setup to inform you. And the word guru has really been sullied in modern times, and the guru may or may not be known. The guru may or may not have a website. The guru may be married, may be single, maybe male, female, blended gender, but none of those things matter. Do they matter? And so he goes out in search of his guru, but in the meantime, he's hungry. And so you respect the calls of nature. So he goes to a hut and says, "Bhiksham, Devi, please give me Bhiksha, oh goddess." We call the women goddess, mother goddess, and because you are an avatar of mother goddess. And a poor woman comes out very aged who can barely see, and she sees this radiant child yogi, this brahmachari, this amazing renunciate, this sannyasi, and she's overcome with joy. And yet she has nothing to feed him. So she starts opening all her pots and pans. What can I find? What can I find? And she finds one tiny shriveled up fruit of amalaki, or Indian gooseberry amala. One. And so then she prays to Ishwara, "Oh Ishwara, I only have this one fruit to give. You make sure that with this one fruit, all his hunger of this beautiful, radiant young yogi is met." So she put in all her prayers in it. Of course, when such an amalaki was consumed by Shankara, he was just vibrating with gratefulness and joy. And then he was also filled with tears of compassion that, "Oh my goodness, look at this poor couple. They don't have anything to eat. And that one amalaki they had, which was so amazing, they gave to me." So then, right there and then, he sat down in meditation and he composed his first hymn. And it was to Mother Lakshmi, to the Divine Mother, to Ishwara as Mother Goddess. And when Ishwara is remembered as Lakshmi, then we call Ishwara, which is a gender neutral word, as she. And she was pleased by this first hymn composed by tiny Shankara, known as the Kanakadhara Stotram. And as a result, Mother appeared, and Mother said, I am pleased. And then she went ahead and she rained on them Amalakis on their home. But these Amalakis were Kanak. They have a golden Amalakis. And our little sannyasi, our little yogi, our little brahmachari, our little future acharya, he just walked on. So this was one of the miracles witnessed by people. 8th century India is a well recorded, not that old time in India. Then he reached on the banks of river Narmada in Tamil Nadu, his guru's ashram, Govinda Padacharya. His name was also Govinda. And that is why it is said that Bhaja Govindam is both to Ishwara and to Guru. That's why he has titled it Bhaja Govindam. And his guru said, I was waiting for you. And he then was serving his guru. He had not begun learning as yet because the tradition is to serve the guru, to show your loyalty, your love, your affection, your gratefulness, and to melt your ego in the process. Now, the Guru was meditating, and suddenly the Narmada River, which had been building up over the monsoons, flooded. And as it flooded, it was going to sweep away the ashram, literally. And back in those days, children would hold a kamandalu. It's like a pot with which people carry, pure water in it to, to wash their eyes, to wash their hands, to pray, not for drinking, but for sacred purposes. And he just held out his kamandalu, and the river went into the kamandalu. And then he directed the river over to some safe channels in the farming area, away from the ashram. So this was another miracle attached with Shankaracharya. And then by age 8, he began his study in Jnana Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Karma Yoga, Upasana Yoga. These are the main yogas, and this is what carries the essence of Vedanta ultimately in Jnana Yoga. And all the others are supportive of that process. They're all interconnected in the traditional sense. So he wrote his first commentary on Vishnu. So he's an avatar of Shiva, and he writes a commentary on Vishnu and his 1,000 names, and each name is a supreme power, and each name, when contemplated upon, blasts through us the Shakti of Vishnu, of Ishwara. And he wrote this amazing Vishnu Sahasranama, which if you hear, you will begin to feel light and uplifted because Vishnu is the sustainer. So if any part of you is sick or toxic, you just get uplifted. And it was such a beautiful piece of art this 8-year-old boy had created, manifested for the world, that Veda Vyasa, a celestial teacher who we recognize in our own chanting, who is the composer of the Mahabharata, who is the author in terms of the channeler of the Bhagavad Gita, who has written the Brahma Sutras, and countless other great gifts. The greatest teacher, the greatest author, sage, he appeared. And he said, what do you want? Ask me for something. And Shankara said, give me something that will benefit all humanity forever. So then Ved Vyasa didn't take a moment. Ved Vyasa knew right away that this boy only has a short life. He has been born with 16 years of life. So he immediately doubled it to 32. And Shankara presided in his body for 32 years. And he wrote hundreds of commentaries and hundreds of poetries and thousands of hymns, all original. It is the life and breath of the Vedic yogic tradition of India. His commentaries on the Bhagavad Gita, his commentaries on the Upanishads are the heart of the later acharyas like myself. They're not easy. They're not books you can eat. You have to first be with the teacher and understand the basics, but at least that knowledge is there. Such deep insights. And he traveled on foot from Kanyakumari, which is the tip South India, to Kashmir, the northern tip of India, twice, with four main students and a few students following him. And everywhere he went, he stopped, and people were steeped in, duality. I am different, God is here. I am here, God is there. And he proposed a very special debate. He said, if you win me over in a gentle debate of spiritual philosophical discussion, I will become your shishya. But if I win, you will become my shishya. And he changed the landscape of India that had become, in the 8th century by now, steeped in ritualism and casteism and all of that, back into the non-dual unity consciousness of the pristine Vedas. Because the Vedas do not teach segregation, they teach only unity. Casteism is not part of the Vedic fabric. It is a social disease that cropped up in India later. It is not the original vision of the seers. And this way, he gradually brought such a revolution, a renaissance in consciousness. And if India and yoga and the Vedas are known for anything, it is known for teaching us that we are one, and that oneness is within us and transcends us, known as Brahman, Ishwara. It brings together beings, creatures, galaxies, universes, all into this radical self, which is one here and one there. And in his 32nd year, he just kept walking, and then one day, while chanting the Nirvana Shatakam, which I have already taught a group of students prior in this platform, over 6 stanzas he chanted, and then he disappeared in the forest, never to be seen again. And what did he chant? And I'll just chant you one verse. Mano buddhahankar chittani naham न चाक्षोत्र जिह्वे न चाघ्राणनेत्रे न चाव्योम भूमिर् न तेजो न वायु चिदानन्दरूपा शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं चिदानन्दरूपा शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहम्. Neither am I my mind, nor this intelligence, nor ego. Neither am I the organ of hearing, nor that of tasting, smelling, seeing. Neither am I the sky or space, nor earth, neither fire nor air, none of the elements that compose the body. I am the ever pure blissful consciousness. I am Shiva. I am Shiva. And then this beautiful avatar, after 32 years of brilliant life and waking up people across India from this ignorance of estrangement and separation and duality from Ishwara, to recognizing that searing flame within, went back into that consciousness from which it had emerged. I believe I should end now. The context of Bhaja Govindam is as important as the 31 verses. A casual looking at or hearing the verses with transliterated or translated words will give you the content, but it won't make a dent. And this is the Shastric way. This is the Vedic way of getting the context, understanding the purpose, preparing our mind to receive the jnanam, and then as each verse unfolds, letting that hammer work upon us to break the hard shell of avidya, of rajas, tamas, sattva, because even sattva beyond a point is a cage of, oh, I'm so good. But if you transcend all of that, then who are you? That is the purpose. My final few minutes in this session are going towards the story of the origin of the Bhaja Govindam, where during one of his travels from south to north and north to south, he was in Kashi, also known as Varanasi or Benares. And he was surrounded by some of his students and disciples. And he came across an 85 plus year old man, working or memorizing the verbs of Sanskrit, grammar rules of Sanskrit. You know, there are these root verbs, root sounds that lead to many, many words. Hundreds of words come from those root sounds. For example, gam is a root verb sound, which means to go. And so from that, we may get words like gachati, like he, she, it, gachati, goes. So it comes from gam. Or when we say bhu, it means to be or become. And from that, we have bhavati, which means he, she, it becomes. Or we have kri, which means to do or to make, from which we get karoti, or he, she, it does. Now, these are just examples of Sanskrit. And there was a time I learned it. But if I'm still learning it at 85 plus, what that really means is that I'm quite caught up in the trees and I'm not looking at the forest. And we take up such meaningless projects, hobbies, distractions into the eve of our life through our youth, which was the best time to explore our devotion to Ishwara, through our middle age where we get consumed with family responsibilities, and then into our old age. Probably this old man was trying to learn this, get a job or impress someone in a debate, whatever. And at that time, Shankaracharya was amazed. And Shankaracharya spoke these first verse of the Bhaja Govindam. Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam, Govindam Bhaja Mudamate. Samprapte san nihite kale nahi nahi rakshati dankur krinane. So what is this dukkri? I'm not in the tune, so let me chant it again. Dukkrin karane, yes. So nahi nahi rakshati dukkrin karane, yes. What is he saying? He's saying, seek Govinda, seek Govinda, seek Govinda, O deluded one. When the appointed time comes, that shall not spare you, nor these grammar rules will save you. So this was the beginning of, don't let this important human life pass away without connecting with Ishwara, without knowing the infinite aspect of your existence, the exit, the yogic possibility that Ishwara opens up for all of us. And Dukrin Karane comes again from the root word kru, doing action. You're just doing, acting, workaholic, family, child must get married, this must happen, that must happen. Did you take a moment to connect to Ishvara? And then he composed 12 more verses. Then he walked on, and to his students, because he's a Acharya, he spoke, but he spoke in meter. And as he spoke in meter, it became, 12 more blossoms of knowledge known as Dvadasha Manjarika. Dvadasha means 12, and Manjarika means blossoms. Then the students who were clearly, soaring students, composed original 14 verses known as the Chaturdasha Manjarika, which means 14 additional blossoms. And then to close it all, Shankaracharya again added blossoms, which bringing it to a grand total of 31. These 31 blossoms, when they fall upon us, they are soft as they fall upon us, but they have a piercing effect on avidya or ignorance, metaphysical false assumptions, and we have a pretty good potent chance to turn towards Ishvara. This is my blessing to you. I have made it my life's purpose in these coming years to just remind the spiritual community that is turning towards yoga and the Vedas to the forgotten element of Ishvara. When we have removed Ishvara or minimized it, we have lost the spirit of our journey. Many blessings. The next couple of sessions will continue to be the background. Then we will begin with the 31 blossoms. Jai Ma, and thank you, everyone. Om Namah Shivaya. Vande Krishnam Jagat Guru. Om Shri Guru Bhyo Namah.